The first HOA officer planted his boots between my tractor and the vines my late wife had planted by hand. The second held up a fake citation and ordered me off my own land while a dozen guests watched. Who gave them the right to shut my gates? Why did they keep calling me the worker after I told them the vineyard was mine? And why did their HOA president smile when they locked away the keys to my harvest? They thought my silence meant I was powerless. They had no idea where the boundary really ended, or who had written the rule they were breaking. Stay to the end, because the paper they ignored would cost them far more than money. Put the keys on the hood. The taller patrolman stood close enough for me to smell mint on his breath and engine oil on his jacket. Behind him, the tractor ticked as it cooled, each click carrying across the amber rows. I kept one hand at my side and the other around the keyring. "They stay with the owner," I said. He glanced toward the guests near the tasting room steps. "Then we'll wait for him." My daughter, Lena, stood beside the memorial table with both hands pressed to the white cloth. One glass trembled against a plate. The younger guard shifted near the gate. A red light glowed on his body camera and flashed in his belt buckle. "Brent," he said, "the tow company asked for proof of authority." Brent Hale did not turn. "They have our contract." "With Silver Crest," the young man replied. "Not this parcel." Brent's jaw tightened. "Colin, secure the entrance." A chain scraped over the iron bars. I looked toward the harvest truck waiting on the gravel lane. Its engine was off, but the sweet smell of crushed grapes drifted from the covered bins. Another hour in the heat would start changing the fruit. "You're blocking a licensed shipment," I said. "You're obstructing an HOA compliance action." Brent held out a yellow citation. "Last warning." The paper had no county seal, case number, or agency name, only the Silver crest and Brent's signature. I folded it once and handed it back. His smile vanished. "Take the keys." Colin did not move. That was an order. The red light stayed steady. Colin's fingers rose halfway, then stopped. Leaves scratched across the gravel. The truck's cooling unit hummed weakly. Lena stepped off the porch. "You have no right to touch him." "Ma'am, return to the building." "This is his land." Brent laughed once. "We've heard that." He reached for the keys. I opened my hand first and placed them on the tractor hood. Metal struck metal with a clean sound. "Now state for the camera who authorized you to seize private equipment." Colin's eyes flicked toward me. Brent's face changed. "You don't question procedure." "Then procedure should be easy to name." A guest raised her phone. Someone whispered, "Keep recording." Brent swept the keys into his palm. "Tow it." The tow driver leaned from his cab. "I'm not moving farm equipment without a deed holder or a sheriff's order." "You were hired to tow." "I was hired to tow a disabled vehicle from an HOA road. That tractor isn't disabled, and this doesn't look like your road." The guests began murmuring. "This property is under temporary closure," Brent called. "Everyone leaves now." No one moved. A gust crossed the hill and lifted the corner of the tablecloth. Beneath it, I saw the faded blue handwriting on the place card Lena had made for her mother. Amara Reed. The name settled something inside me. Brent pointed toward the patrol vehicle. "You're coming with us to complete a statement." I looked at the locked gate, the trapped harvest, and the red camera light reflected in Colin's buckle. 6 hours earlier, at 7:02 that morning, the same gate had stood open to the fog, and I had believed the hardest part of the day would be setting one empty place at dinner. At 7:02 a.m., I lifted the vineyard gate from its rusted latch and let the fog roll through. Cold iron bit into my palm. Cedar Hollow stretched down the slope in bronze rows. Near the press house, a pump coughed twice before settling into its low thrum. "Still sticking?" Lena called. She came up the path carrying 2 folding chairs and a box of white napkins. At 24, she moved like her mother had, quickly, without wasting motion, in muddy boots and a clean wool coat. "The hinge or me?" I asked. "The hinge. You're beyond repair." Inside the tasting room, the air smelled of cedar, coffee, and sliced apples. Lena set a cup beside me, handle turned toward my right hand, then noticed the envelope beneath the ledger. "What's that?" "Nothing for today." She pulled it free. One sentence from the bank sat in heavy type. "Final 30-day review." "Dad?" "We'll cover it after the autumn contracts clear." "The contracts you said were delayed?" I folded the letter. "The harvest truck comes at 4. The tasting pays the crew. We get through today first." Lena returned the envelope to the ledger. The refrigerator clicked off. Her thumbnail scraped the box. "You could have told me. You came home to build wine, not carry my worry." "I came home because this is mine too." Outside, birds lifted from the lower field. I reached for the old garden clock beside the door. Under its cracked glass was Amara's note, faded by years of sun. "Save the first good cluster. It remembers the soil." Lena touched the glass. "You still read that?" "Every morning I'm tempted to cut corners." She'd hate the folding chairs. She chose them. She chose cheap ones because you spent the budget on barrels. That is not how I remember it. We worked without talking. I carried tables onto the terrace. Lena tied cards to the glasses. The white cloth snapped in the breeze, then settled over the table where one chair would remain empty. Warm yeast drifted from the press house as Raoul's crew tested the crusher. At 8:11, a silver utility vehicle slowed outside the gate. Lena watched it through the vines. "Silver Crest?" Someone inside photographed the entrance. Then the vehicle rolled on. "They've been doing that all week," she said. "They're looking for a boundary that isn't there." "Should we cancel?" "No." They sent 3 notices. They sent 3 opinions. Her phone chimed. "Naomi says the county map portal is down again. Ask for the archived survey." "I already did." I looked at her. "You're not the only Reed who plans ahead." By 9, the sun opened a hole through the fog. Gold light touched the first row Amara had planted 20 years earlier. I knelt to clear leaves from one trunk and found the brass tag she had stamped herself. A.R. First row. Lena crouched beside me. "Don't sell it." I kept my thumb on the cold metal. "I haven't decided." "You already did. You just haven't admitted which way." I stood and brushed damp soil from my knees. "The bank gets an answer after harvest." "And if the harvest doesn't save us?" Before I could answer, tires ground over gravel. The silver vehicle returned, slower now. It turned toward our open gate, and the white crest on its door flashed between the vines. The silver vehicle stopped 10 feet inside the gate. A woman in a cream coat stepped out before the engine died. She held a tablet to her chest and looked past me toward the tasting room as if she were inspecting land already purchased. "Isaiah Reed?" "Yes." "Marla Voss, president of Silvercrest. We need to discuss your unauthorized commercial activity." Lena came down the slope. "Unauthorized by whom?" "Residents only, please." "She is my daughter." Marla tapped the tablet. "Our updated community map places this property inside Silvercrest. Your map is not a deed. It is the governing map approved by our board." Warm air drifted through the open car door, carrying vanilla into the cold morning. "Send me the survey you relied on," I said. "You'll receive formal notice." "I've received 3. Then cancel today's event, remove the roadside sign, and suspend deliveries. No. The woman in the passenger seat stopped typing. Marla lowered the tablet. Excuse me? You may leave the way you entered. The pump throbbed near the press house. Marla's eyes moved from my worn shirt to my mud-dark boots. People who cooperate usually find us reasonable. Lena folded her arms. And people outside your HOA? Marla's smile narrowed. We'll let the documents speak. At 9:26, the office printer began grinding before I finished scanning the survey. It dragged one page crooked, corrected itself, then pushed out a sheet marked Final Notice in red. They sent it while she was still in the driveway, Lena said. The notice claimed Cedar Hollow had entered Silver Crest through a boundary modernization. It listed no parcel number and named no county filing. I opened the fireproof drawer and removed the original survey. The paper crackled under my fingers. A blue line placed Silver Crest 300 yards from our first vine. Scan all of it. Already doing it. And the tax map. Attached. She sent Marla the deed, survey, and a request for any recorded instrument changing the boundary. The reply came 4 minutes later. Old paper records do not override the association's current digital map. Lena stared at the screen. She actually wrote that. Yes. You sound pleased. I prefer mistakes in writing. The room smelled of toner and cold coffee. Outside, the tasting room bell sounded once, then died. I called the county archive. A recorded voice thanked me for my patience, repeated twice, then disconnected. Try Naomi, I said. Lena dialed the surveyor. Voicemail. The printer clicked again. A second page scheduled a noon inspection and warned that Silver Crest patrol personnel could secure non-conforming facilities. Lena held it by one corner. Secure means what? It means they want us to guess. Should I call the sheriff? Not until someone crosses a line we can prove. They already crossed the gate. I folded the notice into thirds and placed it beneath Amara's faded note in the garden clock, separating the threat from her handwriting with cracked glass. At 10:03, Marla sent one final message. The digital boundary is final. Our officers will arrive at noon. Before Lena could answer, the bell rang again. This time, 2 engines were climbing our private road. The first patrol SUV rolled past the office window at 10:04 a.m., followed by a second with a white Silver crest on the door. Lock the tasting room, Lena asked. No, keep the guests outside. I stepped onto the gravel as the engines idled between the vines. Wind moved through the leaves, carrying diesel, damp soil, and crushed grapes. Brent Hale climbed from the lead vehicle. He wore a dark uniform and a badge shaped too much like a police shield. Colin Mercer followed, younger and thinner, with a body camera blinking red. Brent looked toward the barn. Who manages this place? I do. I asked for the manager. You found him. He unfolded a measuring wheel and pushed it across the private road. The wheel clicked over every stone. Lena came down from the porch. You're trespassing. We're conducting a compliance assessment. On whose authority? I asked. Silver Crest HOA. This parcel is not in Silver Crest. We have a directive from the board president. That is not permission to enter land it does not control. Colin glanced at his camera. Brent stopped beside the old stone marker near the hedge. What's this? Colin asked. Half the marker was buried under ivy, but the county number was visible. Decorative, Brent said. It has a survey stamp. Noted, photograph the barn. Colin hesitated. Shouldn't we verify the parcel first? Brent turned slowly. Your job is to document violations, not interpret property law. I crouched and pulled ivy from the marker. The stone was cold and slick. Record the number. Brent stepped between Colin and the stone. Do not coach my officer. He asked a question, and I answered it. The second patrolman photographed the loading dock and Cedar Hollow sign. Lena moved beside me. Dad, Naomi can get here after 5. Brent heard her. Too late. The property will be under restriction by then. What restriction? Lena asked. Commercial operations cease at noon. You can't shut down a vineyard you don't govern. Brent smiled. People say that right before they learn how covenants work. I held out my hand. Show me the recorded covenant tied to this parcel. He raised a laminated sheet without giving it to me. It was Marla's digital map. That is not a recorded instrument. It is sufficient for today. No, it is convenient for today. The second patrolman lowered his camera. Only the pump hummed as the measuring wheel rolled backward. Colin looked at the marker. The map line ends before this road. Brent snapped the folder shut. The board extended the service zone. Service zones don't transfer ownership, I said. His eyes settled on my work shirt, then my boots. You seem unusually informed for a caretaker. Lena inhaled sharply. I let the pause remain. You seem unusually careless for someone wearing a camera. Colin's red light reflected in Brent's belt buckle. Brent pointed toward the barn. At noon, we inspect every structure. If access is denied, we secure the site. He waved both vehicles forward. Their tires ground across the white gravel, leaving 2 dark tracks. As they drove deeper between the vines, Colin turned once toward the marker. Brent did not. At 10:18 a.m., I called the county records office again. Your call is important to us. Due to a temporary system interruption, archived property files are unavailable. The line clicked, breathed static into my ear, and repeated the sentence. Lena stood by the office door, watching the patrol SUVs creep between the lower rows. Try the clerk's direct number. I did. And? Same voice. The printer smelled hot behind us. I dialed again. The message returned in the same tone. Your call is important to us. Lena closed her eyes. That sentence should be illegal. I opened the county map portal. A spinning circle became an error code. Call Naomi. She's surveying outside Culpeper. Call anyway. Naomi Chen answered over wind and machinery. Isaiah, the old survey is clean. Can you certify it today? Not remotely. I need the plat book and a physical check of the monuments. When can you get here? A truck horn sounded through her phone. 5:30 at the earliest. Too late, Lena said. Naomi heard her. What are they doing? Measuring buildings. Threatening closure. Do not let them move a marker. Photograph every stone, wide, close, and with scale. I'll bring the county index. The call ended. Outside, Brent pointed toward the overlook where Amara used to set 2 chairs at sunset. Lena followed my gaze. Why are they up there? My phone chimed. Marla had posted an invitation to local realtors. Exclusive development preview, 3 p.m., Cedar Hollow Overlook. Private access provided by HOA Patrol. She advertised our land, Lena said, 20 minutes ago. For investors? Yes. Her fingers would not close around the phone. That's Mom's hill. I know. We should block the road. If we do it before the boundary is certified, she'll call it obstruction. So we stand here? For now, we document. Brent unfolded a sign beside the upper path. Colin held it while another patrolman hammered a stake into the ground. No public access. Silvercrest authorized event. I took my camera from the desk. What are you doing? Lena asked. Making their choices expensive. We climbed the slope. Wet grass soaked my boots, and the hammer struck wood in steady blows. Brent saw us. "This area is restricted. Remove the sign." The board approved temporary use. "The board owns nothing here." He tapped the digital map. "We've covered this." "No, you've repeated it." Colin's grip loosened on the signpost. I photographed the marker, the sign, the patrol vehicles, and the nearest Silvercrest Road. Brent stepped into the frame. "Photography won't change jurisdiction. It preserves conduct." Marla's car appeared at the gate. 2 polished vans followed. Lena whispered, "They're early." The office phone began ringing downhill. I answered on the 4th ring. "County records," a human voice said. "We received your request, but the archive system is still offline. We cannot certify the plat until tomorrow." "Can you confirm this parcel is outside Silvercrest?" "Not without the archived record." The line crackled. Then the mechanical voice cut back in. "Your call is important to us." Through the window, Marla stepped from her car and opened my gate for the first realtor. "Everyone out of the tasting room." Brent's voice cut through the conversation at 11:47 a.m. He pushed both doors open and stood at the threshold. A dozen guests turned. Forks stopped against plates. The room smelled of apples and oak. "This is a private event," Lena said. "It is now a compliance scene." Marla entered behind him in her cream coat with 2 realtors. She glanced at me. "Where is the owner?" "You're speaking to him." She laughed. "No, I'm speaking to the worker who refused every reasonable instruction." One guest lowered his glass. Another looked at my muddy cuffs, then away. Lena stepped beside me. "He owns Cedar Hollow." "Ma'am, do not interfere," Brent said. "She answered your question." I didn't ask her. A wine glass near the table's edge kept ringing after someone set it down too hard. The thin sound continued after every other noise stopped. Marla held out her hand. "Keys to the tractor, press house, and gate." "No. You are operating without HOA approval. This land is outside your association. That claim is under review by the people planning to use it at 3. One realtor frowned. "You said access was cleared." "It is," Marla said. "Then why does he say he owns it?" A woman near the window raised her phone. She wore silver-framed glasses. "Are you recording?" Brent asked. "Yes, Evelyn Park. I'm an accountant. I like records." "Put it away." "Is that an order?" "A request." "Then no." 3 more phones appeared. Lena pointed outside. "Your patrol drove over our boundary marker. We followed the current map. You ignored the stone." Brent slapped a notice onto the counter. "This facility is closed pending review." I picked it up. No seal. No parcel number. Only Brent's signature. "What law authorizes this?" "You don't need to understand procedure." "Then explain it to the cameras." Colin stood behind him, body camera glowing red. His eyes moved to the blank space where an agency should have been named. "Colin, clear the room." The younger guard swallowed. "On what basis?" "On my instruction." "That isn't a legal basis," Evelyn said. The glass rang again. A guest folded her napkin with shaking fingers. "We can leave if we're causing trouble." "You are not causing it," I said. Marla stepped closer. Her perfume cut through the smell of wine. "Hand me the keys, and perhaps we can avoid embarrassing you further." Lena's fingers closed around my sleeve. I looked at the empty chair beneath Amara's place card. Then I removed the key ring and held it where every phone could see. "These open equipment on land you do not control." Brent extended his palm. "Give them to me." "State your authority first." His face reddened. "I don't answer to hired help." Nobody spoke. Evelyn kept recording. One realtor lowered his eyes. Colin shifted away from Brent. Lena said softly, "He built this place with my mother." Marla glanced at the empty chair. "Personal stories do not alter jurisdiction." The wine glass stopped ringing. Brent reached for the keys. I closed my hand around them. "Then bring someone who can prove you have one." Outside, a diesel engine growled at the gate. Amber towing lights flashed through the vines. The tow truck stopped across the gate at 11:53 a.m., its amber lights turning the white tablecloth gold, then gray, then gold again. The driver climbed down and looked from Brent to the tractor. "Which vehicle?" "That one," Brent said. "Keys are being surrendered." "They are not," I said. Brent held out his hand. "Last chance." Lena moved between us. "You cannot take farm equipment from private land." Marla checked her watch. "The realtors arrive in an hour. Remove the obstruction." The driver rubbed a thumb along his invoice. "I was told this was a disabled vehicle on an HOA road." "It is under HOA control," Brent said. "Show me the authorization." Brent's mouth tightened. "Hook the tractor." The driver did not move. Behind us, guests filed out of the tasting room. Chairs scraped stone. The white cloth on Amara's memorial table lifted in the wind and settled over the empty place setting like a slow breath. Evelyn kept her phone raised. "I have his refusal on video." Marla turned on her. "You are interfering with a lawful process." "Then naming the law should be easy." Brent stepped toward me. "Keys." I opened my hand and placed them on the tractor hood before he could reach me. The metal struck hard enough to make Colin flinch. "Record who takes them," I said. The red light on Colin's camera stayed steady. Brent swept the ring into his palm. "Secure the gate." "Sir," Colin said, "we still don't have a parcel order." "You have mine." "That isn't the same thing." For the first time, Brent looked uncertain. Then he pointed at the entrance. "Chain it." The third patrolman dragged a steel chain through the iron bars. It rasped against the paint. A heavy padlock snapped shut. Raoul's harvest truck sat trapped inside with its cooling unit humming weakly. Raoul climbed from the cab. "Those bins have to move by one." "They're not leaving," Brent said. "Then the fruit warms." "Not my concern." Raoul looked at me. "Isaiah." I could smell sugar rising from the covered grapes. "Keep the unit running as long as you can." "It's already losing temperature." Marla handed me a form. "Temporary closure. Sign acknowledgement." The page carried no county seal, only silver crest letterhead, and a blank line beneath occupant or worker. I folded it once. "I am neither." Brent nodded toward the patrol SUV. "Then explain that at the clubhouse." Lena caught my sleeve. "You're not going with them." "If I refuse, they will call it escalation." "They already took your keys." "And every camera saw it." The guests stood along the porch rail, silent. One man removed his cap. Another stared at the gravel. I turned to Evelyn. "Send copies to Lena before anyone asks for your phone." "Already uploading." Colin looked toward the table as the wind pulled one corner of the cloth loose. Amara's place card slid sideways but did not fall. Brent opened the rear door. "Get in!" I looked back at Lena. "Call Naomi. Photograph the lock. Do not touch it." Her jaw trembled once. "Dad?" "Do not touch it." I sat in the vehicle. The seat was cold through my shirt. As the door closed, the last thing I saw was the white tablecloth rising over 12 empty chairs while Raoul's cooling unit coughed, failed, and fell silent. The clubhouse conference room was colder than the patrol SUV. Brent pushed a form across the table. "Sign here." I sat beneath a fluorescent panel buzzing overhead. The vinyl chair edge pressed through my shirt. Across the glass wall, Marla spoke on her phone, smiling toward the parking lot. What am I acknowledging? That Cedar Hollow falls under Silvercrest jurisdiction and that you interfered with a compliance action. It does not. Then note your objection below the signature. A signature still creates the admission. Brent leaned back. You wanted your keys. I want my property returned. Same outcome. No. He tapped the page. The harvest is spoiled. The event is over. You can keep fighting or stop the damage. My phone lay beside his elbow. A voicemail glowed on the screen. Play it. After you sign. That was not our agreement. He slid the phone toward me. 30 seconds. Lena's voice came through thin and breathless. Dad, the guests left. Raoul says the grapes are warming fast. Naomi is still coming. I'm at the gate, but they won't open it. Please call me. A truck horn sounded behind her. Then the message ended. Brent turned the form so the signature line faced me. Your daughter wants you home. My fingers closed around the pen. The plastic barrel was warm from his hand. Marla entered carrying a dusty bottle from the tasting room. We found this in the office. She set it beside the document. Amara's faded label read, First Harvest. Do not open until we almost give up. You removed that from my property. Your property is under administrative control. Put it back, sign, and take it. Brent uncapped the pen. One name. Outside, a copier stuttered. Burnt coffee drifted under the door. I lowered the pen. The tip touched paper and left one blue dot. For 1 second, I saw the empty chairs, the silent cooling unit, and Lena standing alone behind a locked gate. I could end it with 6 letters. Then I turned the bottle. On the back of the label, beneath a thumbprint stain, Amara had added another line. Land can be lost once. You can lose yourself every day. My hand went still. Brent softened his voice. Nobody will blame you. That isn't why I'm not signing. Marla's smile vanished. You have no leverage. I placed the pen over the blue dot. Then why are you trying so hard to borrow my name? The copier stopped. The room seemed larger without it. Brent reached for the form, but I held one corner. Return my phone. You're not finished. I am. He stood. You can remain here until the board decides what to do. No board can detain me. Marla moved between me and the door. Sit down. I looked through the glass. Colin stood in the hall, his body camera still lit. Officer Mercer, is this room locked? His eyes shifted to Brent. Answer him, Brent snapped. Colin tested the handle. It opened. No, he said. I rose, took my phone, and lifted Amara's bottle from the table. Marla blocked the doorway for half a breath, then stepped aside as Colin's red light reflected in the glass. My phone rang before I reached the lobby. It was Lena. Dad, she said. Colin sent me something you need to hear. Play it. Lena did not answer at once. I heard wind crossing the vineyard and the chain clinking against our gate. Colin sent 12 minutes from his body camera, she said. Dad, Brent says he never checked the parcel. Send it to Naomi. Keep the original. It's backed up twice. I stepped into the clubhouse parking lot. The air was warmer, but my fingers still would not close properly around the phone. Behind the glass doors, Marla watched me carry Amara's bottle away. The recording arrived with a timestamp. Brent's voice came first beneath the engine noise. The board wants control of the overlook before the investors arrive. Then Colin. What if the vineyard is outside the service zone? Brent laughed. We're not waiting on county records. Make the worker comply, and the map becomes his problem. I stopped beside the curb. Lena whispered, You heard it? Yes. What do we do? We let them keep talking. At the vineyard, Evelyn met Lena by the locked gate. Her glasses were fogged, and she held her phone beneath her coat to shield it from the mist. "I filmed everything," she said, "including Marla calling the land approved for realtor access." "Can you send the full file?" Lena asked. "The whole thing." A notification sounded as the video uploaded. In the background, Raoul argued with the tow driver while warm grape skins sweetened the damp air. Naomi arrived at 5:41 in a mud-splashed utility truck. "Show me the marker." "The patrol drove over its edge," Lena said. "Then we photograph before we touch." They crossed the lower row with Evelyn filming. Naomi knelt beside the ivy-covered stone and brushed away wet leaves with a survey flag. Brown water ran over her knuckles. At first, there was only chipped granite. Then a date appeared. October 14th, 1989. Naomi sat back. "County Monument, Original Boundary Series." Lena's breath caught. "Can you certify it?" "I can locate it tonight. The archive confirms the plat tomorrow." She pressed a ruler against the engraving while Evelyn photographed the stone from 3 angles. A survey pole stood beside it, bright against the dark vines. Brent's SUV returned before they finished. He got out carrying another form. "This site remains closed." Naomi rose, mud on both knees. "On what recorded boundary?" "The current Silvercrest map." "That map stops 300 yards east. You don't have the archived plat." "I have the monument your patrol ignored." Brent looked at the exposed date, then at Colin's camera. "I walked through the pedestrian gap beside the chained gate. Return my keys and remove your lock." "You signed nothing." "I signed nothing because you had no authority to ask." Marla arrived behind him. "This is not over." "No," I said. "Now it is documented." Colin stepped forward and placed the tractor keys in my palm. His hand shook once before he released them. Brent stared at him. "What are you doing?" "Correcting the property log." The chain still held the gate, but the space around it had changed. Evelyn kept recording. Naomi marked the stone. Lena stood beside me with Amara's bottle tucked against her coat. My phone rang. The caller ID read State Private Security Licensing Division. "Isaiah Reed." "This is he." A woman spoke over a clicking keyboard. "Dana Whitfield, Senior Inspector with the State Private Security Licensing Division. We received a report involving Silvercrest Patrol." "Who filed it?" Brent demanded. Dana heard him. "Who is speaking?" "Brent Hale, Patrol Supervisor." "License number?" He gave it too quickly. The keyboard stopped. "Mr. Hale, do not leave. Do not move property or restrict access." Marla stepped closer. "This is a private HOA matter." "No. It became a licensing matter when your contractor seized equipment and blocked a parcel without verified authority." At 5:49 p.m., a state vehicle turned onto the Vineyard Road. Donna stepped out with an evidence case. "Body cameras remain on," she said. "No one deletes footage." Brent folded his arms. "We acted under board direction." "That does not expand your license." Marla raised her tablet. "Our map places this land inside Silvercrest." Dana looked at Naomi. "Surveyor?" "Licensed. County monument located. Archived plat pending." "Distance from the boundary?" "About 300 yards." Dana faced Brent. "What document did you rely on?" He held up Marla's printout. "That is a board map." It was enough. "Under which section?" Brent's mouth opened. I answered first. "Not section 18.4-214. That requires confirmed jurisdiction before private patrol can restrict movement or property." He stared at me. "How would a farmer know that?" Dana's expression changed. "Mr. Reed, were you with the Attorney General's office?" "Years ago." "You chaired the working group on private enforcement limits." "I helped draft them." The chain struck once, then the wind fell. Marla looked from Dana to me. You never disclosed that. You never asked who owned the vineyard. You decided who I was. Dana removed 2 evidence envelopes. Mr. Mercer, surrender your camera. Colin unclipped it. I preserved a copy. Good. Brent stepped toward him. You violated command. You gave an unlawful one, Colin said. Dana faced Brent. Your supervisory authority is suspended pending review. Silvercrest patrol operations cease tonight. Marla's tablet slipped. You cannot shut down our security. I can suspend licensed activity when there is probable misconduct. And the vineyard? Lena asked. Dana looked at the chain. Open it. A patrolman reached for the lock. Not him, I said. Brent put it on. Dana nodded. Brent took the key from his belt. His fingers missed the slot twice. The chain dropped onto the gravel. Raoul started the cooling unit. It coughed, then caught. Cold air moved through the bins, carrying warm fruit and diesel. Dana handed Brent a notice. Report at 8 tomorrow with every directive, log, and recording tied to this action. He read the first line and went pale. Marla stepped back. You too, Dana said. Bring the board communications. At 6:07, the gate stood open. No one cheered. Naomi planted a survey flag beside the old stone. Colin watched Brent remove the shield-shaped emblem from his jacket. Lena set Amara's bottle on the tractor seat. Dana looked toward the darkening rows. Tomorrow, she said. We put the real boundary on the record. At 8:12 the next morning, the county hearing room smelled of wet wool and polish. Jerome Beckett, 61, sat beneath the state seal, tapping his pencil twice. This is an emergency licensing review. Keep your answers narrow. Dana placed Brent's emblem, the chain receipt, and 3 memory cards on the evidence table. Marla leaned toward her attorney. We object to the theater. Beckett tapped twice. Then give me facts. Naomi stood beside a projection screen. I overlaid the 1989 county plat, the current tax map, and Silvercrest's recorded boundary. A red digital line appeared. Brent whispered, That map is outdated. The tax map was updated last month. The line crossed 2 roads and stopped 300 yards before the small image of Cedar Hollow's barn. Only the projector fan moved the air. Beckett pointed with his pencil. The vineyard is where? Here. Naomi circled the barn. Outside the association, the patrol zone, and every covenant filed by Silvercrest. Marla's attorney rose. The board approved a modernization map. Was it recorded? No. Was the owner notified? We sent notices. That was not my question. Marla folded her hands. Her ring clicked against the table. Dana called me forward. State your name and relation to Cedar Hollow. Isaiah Reed, sole owner. The clerk displayed a deed bearing my name and Amara's signature from 20 years earlier. Marla said, He presented himself as staff. I wore work clothes on a working farm. You allowed us to believe. Beckett's pencil struck once. Mrs. Voss, belief is not jurisdiction. Lena sat behind me with Amara's bottle in her lap. When the deed appeared, she pressed her thumb over her mother's handwriting. Dana faced Brent. Did you verify ownership before taking the keys? We relied on the board. Did you verify the parcel? The archive was down. Then why proceed? He looked at Marla. Beckett noticed. Answer. We were told to secure the overlook before investors arrived. Dana played Colin's body camera file. We're not waiting on county records. Make the worker comply, and the map becomes his problem. Brent stared at the table. Marla's attorney requested a recess. Denied, Beckett said. There is one more document. Dana displayed Marla's email from 9:41 the previous morning. Clear the vineyard before 3. If he resists, issue whatever notice makes him leave. The investors must not see a dispute. Lena drew one slow breath. Marla leaned toward the microphone. That language was practical, not unlawful. Evelyn whispered behind us. You knew. I knew the map was disputed. No, Evelyn said. You knew he was standing on his own land. Beckett tapped twice. Enough. He voided the closure notices, continued the patrol suspension, and ordered every Silvercrest directive preserved. Then he looked at me. Mr. Reed, do you seek immediate damages today? No, Marla blinked. I want the full record first. Outside, reporters filled the corridor. Lena handed me the bottle. Through the glass doors, the red line still glowed on the screen, ending long before our barn. Dana joined us with a folder. There are other complaints, she said. 18 of them. Dana opened the folder across from the hearing chamber. 18 complaints, she said. 7 closed without interviews. 4 marked civil disagreement. The rest were sent back to Silvercrest. Lena set Amara's bottle on the table. Back to the people being accused? Dinah nodded. The lights buzzed above identical notices. Same blue header, different addresses. A woman by the door twisted a rain-dark scarf. Dana introduced Louise Grant, 59, owner of a farm west of Silvercrest. Her folder bulged with receipts. They stopped my feed truck, Louise said. Claimed my road belonged to the association. What happened? Lena asked. I paid because the animals needed the delivery. She pushed a notice toward me. Then they billed me for security response. The wording matched Brent's form. Dana called Colin in. He entered without his uniform jacket and sat apart. Were patrol staff told to use these notices outside Silvercrest? Yes. By whom? Brent, sometimes Marla. Why? He rubbed the pale strip where his camera had rested. They said people obey paper faster than conversation. Rain ticked against the window. Dana slid over a photograph of a patrol SUV blocking a farm gate. Recognize this? Yes. Were the owners residents? No. Did you verify that? No. Louise's scarf went still. We were told the service map gave us authority within 1 mile, Colin added. Naomi stood near the wall. A service map cannot create jurisdiction. I know that now. Brent entered next, his collar open where the emblem had been removed. Dana arranged the notices. Did you verify a recorded boundary before issuing these? We relied on the board's map. All 18? Yes. Even after officers questioned it? His eyes moved toward Colin. We had deadlines. Louise gave a dry laugh. My goats were your deadline? Dana played a body camera clip. If they argue, cite them, Brent's recorded voice said. If they pay, the board calls it resolved. I lifted Louise's notice. A coffee ring covered the word final. How many paid? I asked. 11, Dana said. How many were refunded? None. Brent shifted. I didn't handle accounting. You handled the pressure, Colin said. You followed orders. Yes. Colin's voice thinned. That is why I'm here. Louise opened her folder. Beneath checks and invoices lay a note. Don't let them make you feel like a guest on your own soil. My husband wrote that before he died, she said. I stopped complaining when he got sick. I thought silence might buy us peace. Her thumb covered the last word. Lena turned Louise's empty cup so its handle faced her. Dana sealed the notices. Every case will be reopened. We're examining refunds, false authority, altered logs, and board direction. Marla's attorney appeared. My client denies ordering unlawful action. Dana raised Marla's email. Then she can explain why all 18 notices use the same instruction. Outside, people waited beneath dripping umbrellas. Each held a blue notice. They blocked my driveway, one man said. They searched my delivery van, a woman added. Another voice followed. Then another. Donna looked back at table. The stack was no longer 18. It was growing. By noon, the evidence table had vanished beneath blue notices. Donna separated the complaints into 3 stacks: blocked access, false fines, and property seizures. The state will seek restitution for documented losses. Louise placed her feed invoice on top. I kept everyone. A clerk entered with a settlement offer. Marla would repay the spoiled harvest if I agreed the boundary dispute had been a good-faith mistake. Lena read the last page twice. They want confidentiality. Marla sat across the hall, her silver chairwoman's pin fixed to her coat. I closed the folder. No private agreement. Her attorney appeared minutes later. Mr. Reed, this makes your family whole. It leaves everyone else alone. This hearing concerns your property. The same paper was used on theirs. Public proceedings could delay payment. Lena's fingers tightened around the bank's notice in her bag. The paper crackled. The spoiled grapes and locked gate seemed to crowd the hallway. Dad, she said, we can survive the delay. I looked at her. We survived yesterday. At 2:18 p.m., Judge Beckett reconvened. Dana submitted the camera files, Marla's emails, altered logs, and 26 verified complaints from outside Silver Crest. Brent took the microphone. Did you order notices without legal authority? Dana asked. I followed board policy. Did you know the county archive was down? Yes. And you proceeded? He looked at Marla. She said the investor event could not fail. Marla's attorney stood. Speculation. Brent turned toward her. You told me, make the map true for one afternoon. Marla removed the silver pin from her coat and set it on the table with a faint click. I was protecting property values, she said. Louise answered from the gallery. By taking ours? Beckett called for order. Marla kept one hand beside the pin, as though she no longer trusted it. The ruling came at 4:03. Every citation was voided. Silver Crest had to reimburse verified losses, including Cedar Hollow's harvest, canceled dinner, and survey. The patrol contractor lost its HOA contract. Brent's supervisory license was revoked pending a 5-year bar review. Marla resigned before the board could remove her. No one applauded. Outside, Louise held her reimbursement form. This pays for winter feed. Colin waited near the stairwell without his uniform. I should have spoken sooner. You spoke before the record vanished, I said. He nodded without looking up. Dana handed me the agreement. The payment would clear the bank's deadline and repair the cooling unit. I signed only after the findings remained attached. Lena watched the ink dry. What about the others? I directed part of the payment into a legal fund for the remaining landowners. Marla stopped beside the evidence table. Her silver pin still lay under fluorescent light. I thought control would prevent chaos, she said. It created quieter victims. She left without taking the pin. That evening, Lena unlocked Cedar Hollow's gate. The chain had cut a pale mark through the black paint. Beyond it, county workers measured where a boundary sign would stand, and Dana asked me to help write the rule that would keep another uniform from crossing the wrong line. At 8:30 the next Monday, a county worker loosened the shield-shaped emblem from a Silver Crest Patrol SUV. Metal squealed. When it came free, A clean outline remained in the paint. "Leave it," Dana said. The contractor's new supervisor frowned. "We're repainting. Photograph the outline first." Beside Naomi and Louise, I watched workers mark the doors. Private security. No crest, no imitation badge. Louise read it twice. About time the car said what the people inside were. Donna handed me the draft. Boundary verification before contact. Written authorization before entry. Cameras active from arrival to departure. And the complaint line? Independent. Calls cannot return to the HOA. Naomi tapped the last page. "Add parcel numbers to every notice." "Already marked," I said, "and no action based on a digital map unless it matches county records." "That will slow response." "It should," Louise said. "You were fast enough when you were wrong." Inside the training room, 26 private guards sat beneath cold white lights. Their radios rested in a tray by the door, silent. Dana projected Brent's old notice. "What is missing?" "Agency authority," one guard said. "A parcel number," another added. "And a legal basis," Colin said from the back. He wore a plain blue shirt now, no emblem on his chest. Dana nodded toward me. "Mr. Reed?" I kept my hands on the lectern. "A uniform does not create jurisdiction. Before you enter land, know who invited you, what law applies, and where the boundary ends." A guard raised his hand. "What if the board president orders us to proceed?" "Ask for it in writing." "And if they refuse?" "Then you have your answer." Dana changed the slide to the red boundary line ending 300 yards before Cedar Hollow. By noon, the county board approved mandatory cameras, annual property rights training, public complaint reports, state audits, and automatic suspension for police-like insignia. A commissioner leaned toward me. "We would like you to chair the oversight panel." Lena sat behind me with the bank release folded in her lap. "No," I said. He blinked. "You wrote half the safeguards." "I helped because they were needed. That does not make the chair mine." Dana smiled faintly. "Where will you be?" "At the Vineyard." That afternoon, Lena and I returned to Cedar Hollow. The air smelled of cut grass and fermenting fruit. A new county marker stood beside the old stone. She opened the press house. "The replacement cooling unit arrives Friday." "And the bank?" "Paid." She said it quietly, as if testing the word. We walked to the upper row, where Amara's first vines had lost most of their leaves. The gate clicked shut behind us. Lena lifted a wooden sign. "Cedar Hollow. Private property. Visitors welcome by invitation." "Too polite?" "Exactly, polite enough." We set it beside the road. The stripped patrol SUV passed without slowing. The pale outline where the false emblem had been caught the afternoon sun, then vanished around the bend. Lena touched the brass tag on the first vine. "Next year we try the dinner again." I looked at the empty tables stacked beneath the awning. "Yes," I said. "Next year, every chair gets filled." 1 year later, at 6:18 p.m., Lena carried the last tray through the vines while I fastened the white tablecloth beneath 12 place settings. The cloth lifted once in the October wind, then settled. This time, every chair but one was occupied. Cedar Hollow had survived the bank deadline, the lost harvest, and a winter of repairs. Lena now ran production and had put her name beside mine on the partnership papers. The first restored vintage waited in dark bottles along the terrace wall. Louise Grant arrived first with bread and the reimbursement letter that had paid for her winter feed. Evelyn followed, promising not to film dinner. Naomi carried a brass copy of the county monument number and set it near the gate, where the new boundary sign stood. Colin arrived last. He wore a blue work shirt bearing the seal of a regional farm cooperative, where he now coordinated safety under the county's new rules. "Still feels strange without a camera on my chest," he said. "Maybe that's the point," Louise replied. At the far end of the table, the empty place remained beneath Amara's handwritten card. 3 months earlier, the state had issued its final report. Brent Hale's supervisory license was revoked, and he entered retraining before becoming eligible for non-supervisory security work. Marla Voss was barred from serving on an association board for 5 years and ordered to complete restitution with the former directors. She sent no apology, only the required payment. Silvercrest's patrol contract was gone. Every private vehicle in the county now carried clear private security markings. Property actions required a parcel number, verified boundary, recorded authorization, and active body camera. Complaints were published quarterly instead of being returned to the organization accused. Dana mailed me the first report with one sentence across the cover. 29 cases reopened, 29 owners contacted. I kept it in the office drawer beside the bank release. At sunset, Lena brought out the bottle Marla had taken from the tasting room. The label had faded, but Amara's line remained visible. "Do not open until we almost give up." Lena held the corkscrew over it. "Now?" I looked down the first row Amara had planted. New leaves had grown around the old brass tag. "Now." The cork came free with a soft pop. Conversation stopped for only a moment. Lena poured 12 glasses, then filled the one at the empty chair halfway. Amber light passed through it and spread across the cloth in a narrow band of gold. Colin raised his glass but did not speak. Louise touched the rim of hers to the table. Naomi looked toward the gate, where the county marker and the old stone stood together. Later, after the guests had gone, Lena and I folded the chairs beneath the awning. From the road came the low sound of a patrol vehicle slowing near the entrance. It did not turn in. The driver checked the posted parcel number, continued toward Silvercrest, and disappeared behind the trees. Lena gathered the last glasses. "Do you ever wish you had taken the oversight chair?" "No." "Not even once?" I folded Amara's place card and slipped it beneath the cracked glass of the garden clock. "I wanted the gate back." Lena switched off the terrace lights. The vineyard was dark except for the final glass on the white cloth, holding the last of the sunset. Have you ever seen someone use authority they did not truly have, or watched a boundary get crossed because nobody expected resistance? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may help another person recognize that they are not alone. Send this story to someone who believes dignity matters, even when speaking up comes with a cost. Subscribe for more stories about justice, quiet resilience, accountability, and the changes that happen when ordinary people preserve the truth long enough for others to see it. And remember the witnesses in this story, the ones who recorded, questioned, testified, and finally acted. Sometimes one clear voice, one saved document, or one refusal to look away is where real change begins.